Hi everyone, this is Erin from Sandpaper Road, and welcome to the Scrapbook Tutor series. This episode is on titles, and we're going to start with the topic of communication. Now, I'm going to start by talking about this layout that I made a while back, but take a look at the title, I Think I Need a Bigger Box. And this came from a booklet of vellum quotes and things that you could buy. They had different varieties back then that you could buy these different little books. And that is such a perfect little quote to use as a title. I just cut it into the shape of a tag and added a little background piece of cardstock that looked similar to the color in the photos and almost made it like a third photo. And I think that looks really effective there as a title. I might not be able to get away with it being a title if the page were a 12 by 12 page instead of an 8.5 by 11, but it looks really good. I also don't know that I would do that today. You know, we have technology that has increased since then, but let's not forget about just the things we have in our stash. So I really like what that communicates about the refrigerator box my mom made for me into a little box house. Real cute. Now here's another example of actually a poor choice of communication for a title. Children of the Corn. Oh my goodness. Now I wrote that in my own handwriting, first of all. That's me and my friend waiting for the school bus when I was like in first grade or something. We lived out in the country, and I remember I was actually at a crop when I was making this scrapbook page, and my scrapbooking friends were laughing and laughing, and we all had a really good laugh talking about how funny it would be if I made that title Children of the Corn. And we were laughing so hard and having such a good time, and I did make it that title. But fast forward decades later, my husband and my children are a bit confused why this page with all this joy and the two little girls and my friend and I, and the title is Children of the Corn. And because there's a scary movie called Children of the Corn. So not real good communication in hindsight. This, on the other hand, is probably a better sense of communication. I remember thinking I was going to try to make the word read or something like that for this picture, for the title of this page. And I'm really glad that I didn't, because that's sort of a typical title for a picture like this: read or discover or, enjoy, or, all those words kind of that you see by themselves on embellishments and things like that. I'm glad I used learn, although I actually, thinking back, I think I didn't have a D. I think those are just letter stickers, and pretty sure I didn't have the D to make READ, but I knew I could make learn I had enough stickers to make learn. That's funny to think back like that. But really good communication, I think, that stretches beyond the typical. So if whatever you think of, maybe this is a good typical, just maybe go one step further than that and think, what else do your pictures say? Like this, for example, I really like how I used this title, or I used communication in this title, Play Alone. Not crazy about the font, and sure, there's other things on the page I might change if I was doing it again, but the title itself I really like. That's a lot of what I did when I was little. I think I might have been 1.5 or 2 years old in that picture, and I would just sit over there in my little corner and play with just a few things and narrate and tell stories and stuff when I played. And just think of how different the whole page would feel if the title of that page was like the address of where we lived, or something about the banner that's on the wall in the picture, or something that had to do with one of the toys in the picture. It would totally communicate something different about that picture than Play Alone. So I really like that what I chose to use as a title was also what I was actually trying to communicate in that picture. So let's continue, and the next topic we're going to talk about is style when it comes to scrapbook titles. So the style of your title. Now take a look at this. This was a title that I hand wrote, and that's not actually my natural handwriting. I had to practice it a bunch of times and slant it different ways and all on different scrap pieces of paper until I was really happy with it. and then I wrote it. And of course, back in the day, you did everything directly on the page that went in the book, not on like a top loading or something like that. So not sure that I would do it that way today, but I'm happy with the way that the style of the lettering looks. And sometimes too, it can be tricky, especially like this page was out of an album, and every page of the scrapbook was something about our vacation. So sometimes it can be a little challenging to come up with new and interesting titles for each page when they all have the same thing to do with the same thing. But stretch your imagination a little bit and try to come up with a different style, maybe something that enhances the pictures a little bit. I like that I did enjoy childhood and not just beach or kite or something obvious. And I also like the style here of this title. I'm going to go back to this one again. I like the simple letter stickers. Imagine if I would have done handwriting on this page instead of the stickers. It would have felt a little bit more kid-like. And even though I was a kid in the picture, it just the communication of the style, I think, would have been different. Where this looks a little bit more professional. It's taking my reading seriously in the picture just by the professional look of the, the stickers and the way that it's done in the perfect circles that match the buttons and so on. So yeah, just I think thinking of the style of your lettering as much as the communication and the title itself are all equally important. And as a matter of fact, I think your title has a lot more power on your page than you may think. With that being said, I have to show you this layout. I cannot even believe I made this myself. This was like 10 years into my scrapbooking career. Like I don't even know what I was trying to do. But the title says favorite hat. And now that I look at it, I remember, yes, this was a page about my favorite hat. I always wore a hat, and even still to this day, I wear hats a lot. But why? Why would I just handwrite? This is an example of where handwriting really doesn't help the feel of the page at all, because looking at just the title, not even all that mishmash down at the bottom, but I wish that I would have written that. Imagine if I would have written that in like a white pen, at the very least on the blue. Or here's where I could have used letter stickers instead of those crazy bookmark things going up and down the left. Imagine if I would have done favorite hat like vertically up and down the left, or even centered the picture and put favorite hat across the top in like bright white letters, like stark letters or something like that. There's a million different things I could have done than this. And clearly I was using liquid glue for the vellum embellishments, which was not a good plan, as you can see there. Here's another example. I was really crazy about that color blue I see. Simplify, Simplify is my title. Now the style, I was trying to use this like sort of a funky font with my handwriting. And get away from using letter stickers. I guess that was the kick I was on there for a while. That being said, that does not enhance the photo at all. As a matter of fact, it does nothing for the photo, because that was the room, the beautifully peaceful, sunshine lit room of our rental vacation home that one particular year. And I don't know why I thought that the style of my lettering would bring that out and help communicate that, because it really didn't. So definitely I would choose a different style, even if I did keep this title the same. Okay, so the next topic we're going to talk about in this episode is the use of creativity in your titles. And I want to show you this example again of Children of the Corn, because even though I don't understand what in the world would make me go ahead and do that to make that the title, I do think I like the fact that I hand drew an ear of corn in the word corn in place of the letter O. And I think to myself, oh yeah, I forgot about doing that. So don't forget about like substituting a letter of your title with like something unique about that title. Maybe you have a sticker or even like a picture, like like a punch out picture in place of an O or something like that. You can really be creative with your titles in ways. And sometimes I forget about those kind of techniques. This page I love. I may not make it the same way today, and I'm kind of glad, because I love the way I made that page. I love the title, the creativity of the title in terms of the wording. Stop the bus. That picture is the only picture that I had of this crazy bus that my parents bought when I was a little kid that had been transformed into some kind of I guess like a motorhome or a camper or something. And we had all these ambitions. We were going to take it all these places. Well, anyway, this picture, if you look at it, if I wouldn't have put something about the bus in the title, you wouldn't even much focus on the bus in the picture. You'd focus probably on me and my dad standing there. But I like the stop the bus. I like the sort of the block lettering, that sort of collegiate type lettering. The word "the" was just some sort of sticker I had in my stash that I added. But I like that I didn't try to handwrite it in there, that I found another letter sticker there. So I'm pleased with the style, the creativity, and the communication of that. Now here's another example of creativity in your title. 2 tickets. This is a series of pictures on a double-page spread about when my kids went to the fair. Now, clearly, these are about the fair or some sort of rides, and the temptation. Don't you have pictures like this? Isn't the temptation always to do like rides, 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 or ride with an exclamation point, or go, or twist, or upside down, or some sort of like word like that? I am so happy that I decided to go. I remember not having enough letters. I barely had enough letters to spell 2 tickets. You could see I used a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters because that's all I had, but it's fine. And I even had this numbers paper to sort of accentuate the number 2. And then I put a chipboard number 2 on top of it. I think I painted it red to match. But I like the 2 tickets. I put the 2 tickets right there as memorabilia. Here's another example of creativity, and I made this page actually just a few months ago, I think. But it's just a simple acrostic of my name, although I like what I did with the color. Even though this isn't about color, I like that I didn't make the acrostic title as so blasting attention the first thing you see, because the first thing you see is still the picture. Then your eye kind of moves around the page, and then you see those little sort of dark pink banners with my handwriting in white ink, and then you see that it goes with a letter, and then you notice that it's an acrostic. And I like that. I think that that's probably one of my more creative uses of titles in my recent years than some of the other pages that I've done. Sometimes I leave a title off for a while until I'm sure of what I want to do. But I like that, and don't forget about using the acrostic technique as well. Okay, and so the last area we're going to talk about with titles is the element of placement of your titles. The element of placement, where you place your titles. This is an idea that don't forget that you can use. Now, I had this piece of cardstock. It was actually, I think, a bottom of a pre-printed page that said graduation. And where I wanted that word, I wanted it to balance out the year that I had on the bottom there, that 2017. But I knew I was going to have to cut across the center of the page. And guess what? That doesn't make one bit of difference. I think some of us get a little freaked out if we have to, oh, it's not going to fit, or it's not going to fit. You have a double page spread. Just pretend that it's a whole big long page. And if it's hard for your brain to get past that, just lay the 2 papers out on the table, push them together, and treat it as one long page. And that will help you sort of extend your brain a little bit. The center line is not always a stop barrier for a double page layout. So don't be afraid to cut a title or to stretch even a photo across the center of a double page layout spread. Here's another example, I think, of placement that is maybe a little bit unique. I mean, it's not just the middle of the page, but it provides a little bit of unity here between these three pictures. I like the coloring that brings out. Notice there's no other purple in the background paper. That background paper is orange and green, but purple is in the painting. And so I like that, not only the coloring, but I like the placement. I remember struggling with the idea of putting that across the top or putting it vertically down the side, like going up and down the side. And I'm glad I put it right there. That circle in the upper right corner balances out the word or the title and using the same color as the word little. But the placement is good. It helps your eye travel through the pictures and not just stay focused. Although imagine if I would have done that on another page, that we've seen before, it might not work out the same. Now here, in contrast, if I could have put that title, favorite hat, anywhere else but there, basically, the placement just makes not only the use of the vellum, but the placement of the title, it just makes it get lost in the sky of the picture. I don't know. I just do not know what in the world I was thinking. Sometimes I get so angry when I see these things. Anyway, really, placement. Imagine just taking that vellum and putting it below the picture. Even the same, well, no, because it was written in dark, so you wouldn't have seen it. It really needs to be a different title, not just in style, but in creativity. And I could have used a little hat sticker for the A for favorite hat or for the word hat. Can you imagine that? Like a little baseball hat sticker instead of the letter A in the word hat. See, I could have done 100 other things other than what I did there. Now this page I want to point out in the placement specifically. This actually is a page I made on video in another video on my channel about letter sticker sheets. But I didn't have the pictures in it when I made the video of it. Instead, when I was adding the pictures, I thought to myself, you know what? This title really should go. Do you see that space in the upper right corner? It looks like an empty space. Well, first of all, you don't have to fill every single inch with something, okay? It doesn't look like it needs something because there is something. It's that half purple circle up top. That is the something there in that area. And you can't add something else. It would look weird and cluttered. So I like that I put the title down below, actually, because as your eye travels through the pictures and reads the journaling and sees the embellishments, then you see, what is this page about? What does this even have to do with? But you already know because you've read the journaling, and then you see the title, Growing Up. And so I like that. I think it's effective on that page, the placement there. Now, likewise, the placement here on this Stop the Bus page, it had to be up top because otherwise, by the time you got to the photo, you'd be looking at something totally different. I'm wearing this crazy cardboard baseball hat. You know what? My mother was into paper crafts as well. She really was at the time. And she made me this little cardboard hat. But without the title at the top, I would be focusing on the wrong thing in the photos. So I'm glad I put the placement of that title there. So thanks so much for watching this episode of Scrapbook Tutor on titles, and I encourage you to check out other videos on the Sandpaper Road channel. Thanks so much for subscribing, and also make sure to tune into the other episodes of Scrapbook Tutor as well. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.